Since Gobeklitepe was discovered in the late 20th century, people have strived to understand its purpose. Many theories have been proposed as to its function, from an ancient temple to an alien structure. But maybe its purpose is not as difficult to comprehend as many think. The construction of Gobeklitepe raises many questions. We have a 14,000-year-old structure that is considered the oldest archaeological monument ever discovered, indicating an advanced civilization. The complex was not damaged by earthquake or abandoned, but was buried in near perfect condition. This is very unusual compared to other archaeological finds, since most comparable ancient ruins have suffered considerable damage. It raises several further questions. 1. Why would such a large and intricate structure be buried? 2. We have a circular configuration with a sealed hall inside. This is also very unusual, because if its function was as a temple, why is there no access point to the main hall? 3. We have huge pillars decorated with animal carvings, mainly in the sealed area. Why would a temple be built with carvings of diverse animals, many of which were not even local to the area, but were indigenous to distant lands? 4. Why do multiple layers surround it? Why isn't there only one exterior wall? 5. Why are there multiple storage areas outside of the main structure, with animal carvings above their entrances? 6. Why is it built on a hill and not at a lower elevation, which would make it much easier to transport materials and animals? The answers to these and many other questions may be very simple. Gobeklitepe might be an ancient shipyard and launch area for a vessel designed for animals and humans. This theory would answer all the questions easily. First, the structure was not damaged because when it was still in perfect condition, it was buried underneath mud carried by the Great Flood. The main hall inside was protecting large pillars designed to support the vessel. This was to provide clearance for launching. If the ship were to be launched at a lower water level, it could be demolished by hitting rocks and trees, so it had to start floating at a high point. Considering the power of the flood, a door would be difficult to seal, so a unique closed structure would be a better option. The vessel was built and placed on the pillars, using them like keel blocks are used in modern ship construction. They had to have enough clearance from the rising water. The animals were loaded via wooden ramps and ladders that would float and detach from the boat after loading. We do not have proof that people could read and write in those days. Even if they could, carvings would be a more universal language for people during a flood, and they would know exactly where to load which animals. The images on the pillars showing multiple layers of animals might be showing the layers inside the ship. Since wild animals would have to be separated, it was built on a high hill to protect from rising water levels. When we look at ancient civilization and the Earth's structure, we see evidence of a great flood that matches the time that Gobeklitepe was built. So the flood was predicted long before it happened. People prepared for it. They stored the animals in caves and built the vessel on the pillars, using them as keel blocks. When the rain began and the water levels started to rise, they herded all the animals inside the structure and sealed the door. This helped move the animals to the dedicated storage spaces and prepare the vessel to sail. When the animals and people were all boarded on the vessel, the hatches were sealed, and they waited for the water to rise. When the inner circle filled, the vessel had enough clearance to sail and thus avoided the possible damage by rocks and trees. We read about the prophet Noah and the flood in all three holy books. It describes how they built the vessel and saved animals of all kinds. Was Gobeklitepe the location of Noah's Ark? Maybe it was. Or maybe the Ark was in another place at another time. But what is obvious is that Gobeklitepe was built by people who were certain that a terrible and widespread flood was coming and were told to make serious preparations, not only for themselves, but also to avoid the extinction of animals. God knows the best.